under an Obama administration. Do you feel like we might be making steps towards change?
Well, it's important to start with an appreciation of just how big the problem is. We are the world's leading prison nation. We have the highest incarceration rate in the world, a rate that is between 5 and 10 times higher than the rates the rates that exist in similar countries like Canada, like Great Britain, like Germany. So we have a long way to go. And the difficulty is that most criminal justice policy is made on the state level. There certainly are federal criminal laws, as the other panelists have referred to, and the federal prison system incarcerates about 200,000 people, but that's less than 10% of the national total. So I think we are seeing some hopeful signs on the federal level. The Obama administration has come out in favor of equalizing the crack powder cocaine sentencing differential. That's a very significant step. But by the nature of our federal system, where we have states that make most criminal justice policy, the ability of the federal government to move in this area is somewhat limited.
So let's talk about the money interests behind all of this. Clearly that's something that's driving a lot of the lock 'em up philosophies that are happening. I wonder, Glenn, if you can just start talking a little bit about the economics of prisons.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, because I talked about the reduction of the prison population here in New York State, and how you would assume if you have 10,000 less people in prison that it would be pretty easy to close a prison. And even with the governor here in New York State calling for the closure of prisons as a cost savings measure, and more investment in alternatives to incarceration, and also the commissioner on board and the advocates obviously pushing for it, and then we achieved Rockefeller drug law reform this year, it was still very difficult to actually close prisons in New York State. We actually had prisons that were operating with full capacity in terms of staffing, and a limited number of people in the facility, 10, 15 people in a facility that can hold upwards of 200-300, yet the facilities continue to operate. And then, of course, now we've embraced private industry to run some of these prisons. And obviously they're in the business of making a profit, and so therefore they do things like hire substandard guards, if you will, instead of well-trained correction officers, and find other ways to save in terms of reduced recreation, reduced programming, and so on, which all ultimately affect the day-to-day safety of the prison, and also whether or not a person is equipped once they leave prison to be able to re-enter society.